Welcome back to the adventure. Preston and I are back in the garage, and in this video we're going to build the ultimate Harbor Freight utility trailer. Actually, we already built it. It's right there. To get started, we're going to show you real quick how we assemble the trailer from the box, and then a couple of tips and tricks along the way that might help you. And then we're going to get into the fun stuff and start doing the upgrades to make it the ultimate Harbor Freight utility trailer. Preston's going to give you a little update of where we're at.
Wait, I unboxed it.
We had two massive and very heavy boxes, I might add. Yeah, we got the general layout going here. Some other little parts, some electrical wiring and lights, little baby tires. So Preston and I are going to deviate from the Harbor Freight instructions, and this one's about right here. So, where our A-arms go and attach to the main frame, they show this bolt going from the outside in. It's going to be pivoting and rotating on the threads. So that seems like a bad idea to me. You can trust me if you want. Preston, what's my day job again? Engineer? What kind of engineer? Instructional engineer, yeah. So instructional engineering, typically, if possible, we try not to have the shear planes on the threads, because if you look at the bolts, there's a little less meat there where the threads are. So it's not always possible, but if you can, it's good practice. It seems like this would rotate better if it's not trying to rotate on the threads. It's a new day. We ran out of time last Saturday. Combination of starting late and we had errands to do in the evening, so we had to pack it up. But Preston and I wanted to share one helpful tip here. It comes with a whole lot of M10 by 20 bolts. Now you don't know about this until you're pretty far into the instructions, but there are 4 locations where you need M10 by 25. Preston, can you hold that one up compared to another one? Hold them up so they can see the length. See that? They are almost the same length, just 5 millimeters difference. So what happened? We accidentally put them in with the other ones, so we had to hunt them down and pull them out and swap them. So I recommend that you find those ahead of time, set them aside so you don't accidentally use them. Agree?
Yeah.
Okay. These have to be the smallest leaf springs I've ever seen. Chris and I are ready to start packing our bearings, but we couldn't find them, and then lo and behold, we realized, contrary to the instructions, that they're already in the tire. So we're going to assume the Harbor Freight followed their own instructions and packed the bearings full of grease. So we're ready to put it on, but Preston brought up a good point that they have the dust cap on already, so we need to pop that off. Take our boomstick. But as you can see, the bearings are greased. Can you take the camera for a second?
Yeah, because it has to go towards where those grooves are.
Pointy side goes inward. So we'll shove that back in there. So we already went ahead and put some grease on our axle. So we're going to put this up. Okay, so I get the washer on. And then our castle nut. Alright, so it's on tight. Alright, so you back it off a smidge. And then we need that cotter pin, presto. So with the cotter pins, there's a lot of schools of thought, but what makes sense to me. So on the cotter pin, there's a longer leg and a shorter leg, so you want to pull up on the longer leg first. So at this point, this thing can actually rotate and that longer leg can get into the bearings, so that'd be not a good thing. So I'm going to bend the lower leg down too. Now I'll get my pliers and I'll smash them down to where they match the profile of the castle nut. Alright, so 2 things happen. One, it can't pull out anymore, and now it can't rotate over into the bearings. Recommendation here. If you like to keep your stuff looking pretty, like we do, you could take that dust cap, set it on there, hit it with a hammer, it'll go on, you'll probably dent it. So you can do that, or this is what we recommend. Get some PVC pipe. I had some 2-inch PVC pipe left over from a plumbing project a while back. So that will fit around the cap and it'll catch the flanges of your dust cap. So now, instead of hitting the dust cap, you'll be hitting the PVC pipe as soon as I get my boomstick. And there you go. Clean off any excess. And voila. Your dust cap is in mint condition until you bang it on a rock. We got a little bit of a predicament.
It's how to whip it without smashing the fenders.
I think I have an idea. We're gonna give that a shot. We'll see how it goes. We have the wiring laid out, how we're gonna do it. I'll give you a quick overview. So let's pretend, for example, Preston is the Bronco Sport.
Yeah.
The Bronco Sport has a 4-pin already wired into it. We're gonna leave some excess wire here in the front so we can, attach it, and as the vehicle turns, it won't get taut and snap. Here's our the ground. We are gonna attach this right here to the white wire and then connect it to the bolt that's right there. And then we're gonna feed the wires through on this side along that rail. Now we're gonna have a pivot point right there if we ever close up the trailer. So we're gonna leave some excess there. And we're gonna run the green and brown along this side and all the way to the taillights. And the yellow and brown's gonna go that way. Preston, how do we feel about these splice couplers?
Not very good.
They might work initially, but I've never had one that actually lasted more than a year for anything. So rather than using these, we're going to just splice the wires and use some solder sticks. Preston, how do we want to route these wires? Up top, down below, or drill a hole?
Through the middle.
Alright, Preston's spoken. Let's get her done. We're going to double check that the lights work with our mini Bronco. So we got this drop hitch from Harbor Freight. We got an adjustable one because the height of the baby Bronco compared to the sandbox are very different. We have the trailer finished, at least how it comes from the Harbor Freight boxes, which as you can see is pretty much just the frame. It's all wired up. So Preston and I have been working on this trailer for a while. How many months has it been now?
A few months.
A few months, yeah. We started back in September. And man, oh man, life just kept on hitting us. School started up for Preston. The boss got surgery and wasn't able to lift anything for 8 weeks. We all got COVID, one after another. I don't know how you are with COVID, but it just kicks my trash. Then I just got surgery on my ankle. Right. I get to zooming around in this little wheelie chair like Preston.
Yeah.
I can't beat him in a race though. He's too fast for me. But needless to say,
Time to do some upgrade.
we just got back from taking the trailer on its maiden voyage. To be honest with you, it's such a small trailer I couldn't even tell it was back there. But we got some lumber. Now before we start doing all the wood related stuff, we're going to make our first upgrade to the trailer by welding up all of our joints. So everywhere we got a bolt, we're going to put a bead of weld right there. So by welding up these joints, that's going to do a couple things for us. One, it's going to give us more run time on the welder. Preston and I are learning to weld, and this will be good practice. And two, these joints with the bolt, they got a little bit of flex in them unless you really clamp them down. And by putting this bead of weld down, it's going to make it to where they'll be rigid and can't rotate, and that'll stiffen up the trailer as a whole. In case you're wondering, this paint will burn. So we're going to go ahead and do that to all these joints. Okay, status update. Where are we at, Preston?
We welded the top and we have to weld the bottom.
Yeah, that's right. So we're thinking about how we can flip this thing over to weld the bottom side. And then I remembered this thing pivots in half. So we're just going to do that. So in order to make this thing pivot, you got to undo a couple bolts, and the instructions tell you how to do that. But essentially, there's bolts that attach to this bracket that the leaf spring attached to. You undo those, and then, in theory, we should be able to lift this up Got the first section of the underside welded up. Some of the welds. That'll make it way more rigid, which is great. Before we flip it back down and do the front half, I want to paint these while they're right in front of my face. But Preston and I, we don't have any red paint, so we need to grab some red paint, and we'll give it a little spritz, then we'll continue on to the front. Preston and I just got done spraying the welds. Now this takes 2 hours to dry, so we need to switch gears here. So we're gonna go on to our second upgrade to make this the ultimate Harbor Freight trailer, which is adding a spare tire to the trailer. That guy right there. It's the same size as what came with the kit. We got that at Harbor Freight. Now Harbor Freight also sells the spare tire carrier. Preston has a box right here, and the pictures kind of show how it goes together. So the gist of it is it clamps to the frame with these bolts. But Preston, are we going to use the clamps?
No.
No, we're not. We have a welder. We want to have fun with it, so we're going to modify it. I have it here somewhere. Okay. So we're actually going to weld this to the frame. But before we do that, this thing, I think it's like a one size fits all, so it can fit bigger tires and to stick out as far. So we're actually going to cut about 1.5 inches out of this with our bandsaw and then weld it back together. I just made 2 parallel lines to the plate with our angle finder and a Sharpie. 52 degrees, which is a really random angle, but I don't know why Harbor Freight chose it, but that's what they went with. We're only able to cut one of the lines with the bandsaw because it just wouldn't fit within our jig, and I don't want to take it out of the stand. So we're going to use the old
Artlist.io.
Still strong like both. We're gonna attach it right here in the center, so we need to grind off the paint and then we can weld it on. It's still really hot to the touch, but we did some measurements and we should be good. Use some of the International Harvester Red on it. We don't have any black. Well, we do, but it's like truck bed liner black, and don't want to waste that in this. Okay, the paint is a little tacky still, but we're impatient, so we're gonna try to do this without getting paint on my fingers. It's so sticky. Attempt to get the tire on here. I'm gonna put it with the stem valve. What do you call these things, Preston?
The valve sound?
Valve stem, thank you. Put that towards the top, so if we ever need to fill it up, we can do so without having to reach for it. Whew. Almost lost it. 19 millimeters seems to be the ticket for the lug nuts here. I'm not gonna torque it down super tight, but it has that lock washer on there, and that'll help keep it from rattling off over time from vibration. So by taking out that 1.5 inches, we're able to push the tire closer to the frame. The measuring, we made sure when we're going to put in our wood posts and rails that it won't hit the tire. We'll be able to clear it. Brings us on to our next upgrade to make the most ultimate Harbor Freight trailer ever. What is it, Preston?
Toolbox.
Our third upgrade is we're going to have a toolbox mounted on the front here, and it's going to hold all of our gear that is trailer related. The toolbox is positioned so that we can get the tire out, which Preston wanted to do a test run and we could get it out. So Preston and I are debating on how we want to attach this. He's wanting to bolt it in case we ever need to take it off. I'm kind of wanting just to weld it because it's quicker and easier. Our debate is over. Preston and I remembered that we bought some threaded inserts a while back, so we're going to pre-drill some holes and put in our threaded inserts into the frame. Okay, let's see how well I did lining this up. Handle won't shake anymore, so when we're driving, won't have an annoying rattle behind us. I mean, besides the rattle, the trailer, and everything on it, but you know what I mean. This is from Harbor Freight, if I didn't mention that. We got this toolbox for like 20 bucks at Harbor Freight. It's thin sheet metal, but it'll do the job. But it is 95 degrees outside and humid. As you can tell, I'm a sweaty mess. Preston's hot. We've been out here for a few hours. We're gonna call it good for today. Preston's home from school, so we're gonna do some quick work on the trailer and do our next ultimate upgrade, and that's to put in some D-ring anchors. We actually put in a couple. We'll show you how we did it. I went 8.5. So there's the 8.5 is the first big line.
Is it the long one?
The long one in the middle. Okay, perfect. So that's gonna be flush on the bottom side of the frame, like so. I'll put a little mark in the center. Push the button.
Now I felt it.
Only have a bajillion more to go. Alright, there we go. Nice.
I can't tell what is stopping it. I couldn't tell what was stopping it.
Would you look at that? Man, oh man, I saw daylight. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Sure glad we trimmed up that tire carrier, or that would not have fit. Our next upgrade is this. It's a swing away trailer jack. So the way this jack is meant to attach to the trailer is it clamps the side here on the tongue arm. I don't want to put it there. That's going to load it up Willy Wonka's, and over time it'll just kind of like tilt to a side. So what Preston and I are going to do is we're going to build a cross member that connects the sides, and then we'll attach it to that. Okay, I hope you're good at geometry, YouTube. So the angle over there was 110 degrees or 70 degrees depending on the direction you're looking at it. So our table saw fence can only go up to 60, so we're going to have to cut it from the 70 degree. So if you take 90 degrees minus 70 degrees, that's 20 degrees. So if I set this fence at 20 degrees, which it doesn't have that mark, so I'm going to eyeball it, and I'll set this here and kind of test it. And there you go. So we'll tighten that down. So now we need to cut, well, we need to measure how long it needs to be, but we need to cut the same angle on the other side, so we'll have to probably flip this around because the fence only goes one direction. Alright, we measured twice, cutting once. Here we go. Turn this on. Let's see if we were actually good with our measurements.
Artlist.io.
We have it mocked up. We actually flipped sides from what we were initially thinking, but it's going to be on this side. It just tucks in better under there. So the way this bracket is designed is it rotates at a 90. We will not be able to get it in a full 90 because, oh, came back up a smidge, but because the trailer arms are in the way. So we get about that far. So the locking pins don't reach the hole that they would get into to lock. So what we're going to do is drill new holes for the locking pins to go into. That will keep it locked in place at that position, which will be a good amount. Keep it high away from the, or tucked away from the ground. It's definitely higher up than the rear axle, so ground clearance wise it's not going to be causing us any issues. I'm going to use a file real quick to knock down any sharp edges where I cut the bolts shorter. so I don't cut myself in the future. Over here on my jack, I got these extra holes. They don't fit currently, but I can definitely drill that out and make it bigger. So I'm going to do that because it's one, it keeps the chains out of the way when I'm not using it, which is convenient. And also it's a good reminder of, hey Davin, you idiot, you got to hook these up before you can stow this in the upright position. Our next upgrade is going to be what, Preston?
Plank.
Yeah, we're going to put down some floor planks. Now you could do a sheet of plywood, but I really enjoy woodworking, so I'm going to, go a little above and beyond. We're going to do some wood planks. I'm going to be bolting down the planks with these 1/4-inch bolts as a rounded head, so it'll be nice and smooth on top. So to help speed up the process and make all these bolt holes in the exact same location, I built a little jig. I got a square screwed down to a scrap piece of plywood here. You get a board, hold it down on the jig, nice and tight in the corner. Throw your template. Go start a hole with the drill, don't go all the way through. Okay, so now from the template, I have my holes marked out. Now from here, what you want to do is get a scrap board, like so, and then hold it flat underneath it. So the reason why we do that is if I were to just drill as is, as I get to the back side here, the drill bit is going to explode the face of the grain here. So by holding a scrap board there, now when I drill all the way through, I just barely go into the plywood a little bit, and that keeps it to where the drill bit just keeps on going without exploding the back side of the board. Do this a whole bunch of times, get these boards laid out, and then pre-drill the steel. I had a couple of boards move on me when I drilled and I didn't notice. So I already filled these two in with the welder. I'm going to do these ones next. I'm going to take a Forstner bit and drill out a hole in the wood, or actually a recessed hole, so it will miss the head of the bolt here. I added a round over on the corners to take away that sharp edge, mostly just so it matches the interior boards. I'm a little OCD like that. And now I'm going to add a chamfer to the end of the boards. That's going to help with the durability of the board. Whenever you have a sharp corner like this with end grain, it's prone to breaking off and prying and getting nicked. So we're going to be proactive and do away with that. So with these carriage bolts, since I have the rounded top, I need to actually hammer them down into the wood. There's that little square part that I'll catch. And then I have some nylon nuts that I'm going to use on the bottom side. Our next upgrade involves some more woodworking, and that's going to be the guardrails. Now, you could bolt them together like the Harbor Freight instructions say. Again, I like woodworking, so I'm going to go a little above and beyond. We're going to do half flaps. So on the post, I'm adding a chamfer on the bottom so that it will slide easier into the brackets. My table saw just died on me. It's actually on fire. That is problematic. It's so close to being done too. It's about maybe 70% through my cuts. Bummer. That took a while, but after making a whole bunch of man glitter, finally got everything cut out and sanded. So I'm going to start gluing those up. But once I get this done, I'm going to have the boss stain everything like she did for the deck. What's your favorite part of the trailer?
The seine.
I agree with him. The seine looks pretty good. I'm having the boss stain the guardrails, and she hasn't done it yet. So that's not. Nonetheless, we got her finished. And there you have it. Preston and I just completed the ultimate Harbor Freight utility trailer. It turned out pretty sweet if you ask me. Drop in the comments if there are any other upgrades you can think of that we can add to it. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. So until next time, ciao.